it's Lloyd, and we're back. We're talking about Islam, everyone's favorite topic. And we're talking about the question of whether Islam is influenced, derives from, or is somehow connected to African and Middle Eastern moon religion. So this is a thesis that goes back decades. In fact, it goes back a lot longer than that. And the answer, I believe, we've come to is yes. There's certainly far too many touch points and parallels in the Quran, in the Hadiths, in the Islamic narrative. And of course, we had an interesting one with the god Wad, didn't we, Usama? And of course, I'm back here with Usama Dakdok and JC, and we're going to be discussing this today. So yeah, Usama, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, except I don't know why you start your broadcast by lying. I mean, really? Is this something you excited about talking about? You really like that? I don't.
but so, it's called PR, okay?
Oh, PR. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm so excited too. This is my favorite subject to talk about Islam. MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar, Takbir, and take beer as well.
Unless we're going to need a beer after this, that's for sure. And yeah, JC, how are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very happy to be here and continuing this exploration, trying to find anything in Islam that is genuine or it's original. So far, we haven't found anything, but maybe today.
Well, we can always hope. And there's always that. Yeah, we can always certainly hope. So yeah, last week was interesting. I mean, we came across some interesting things that, especially there's the god Wad. Wad is the Father, God the Father. Wad is also love. And Wad appears in the Quran, which was a very interesting little find. Wad appears in the Quran, and of course the Quran gives some very arbitrary reason for why it's there, but it turns out that they are borrowing names and ideas. Either they are not being quite honest about what these things were as a cover-up, or they were completely ignorant. But the fact that there's so much of this stuff, I don't know. Well, what have you thought of all of this so far? I mean, we've been doing a couple of series of summer on the Jewish origins, the Gnostic origins. We're touching on all of that, plus now the pagan origins. I mean, your thoughts on all of this?
I think, in simple words, I would say my personal, humble opinion, Muhammad was a very, very, very big ear. Allah, that's one of the few verses in the Quran which is 100% true. No kidding. You know, big ear mean listen a lot. And if he have two ears and he used them so good, and he is a big ear, that's how we come up with Islam. Trust me, if you have patience to listen to people, you can make up much more than Muhammad ever did in his Islam or in his Quran, because the more you listen, the more you learn, the more you add to your bag of whatever information you want to share with others in the future. And it's true. So far, I did not see, as Brother JC said, anything originated in Islam or in Muhammad or in the teaching of the Quran or the Hadith. It seemed to me it's just big ear. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, just so you guys know, this is Noddy and big ears. And for those who don't want Usama to destroy your childhood, he's not talking about this big ears over here. Okay, just so you know, Muhammad was known as the ear. That's actually in the Sirah. Muhammad would steal ideas and copy and write them down.
Not just Sirah, it's Sirah and Quran.
Oh wow!
Oh, let me find it for you. I promise I'll find it to you.
Yeah, Sandro says it's all just innocent misunderstandings. By the way, guys, while we're here, I just want to mention something that happens to me on a semi-regular basis. I have many supporters of the channel, and I do appreciate that, of course. However, there are many people that claim to be supporters or whatever the case might be, or claim to be have whatever affiliations and allegiances and religious beliefs and so on. But then many times these people will send me emails, messages, and they'll say, hey, you got to watch this video. This video is amazing. This guy's fantastic. This channel is great. I will look at these things eventually, and I'll talk about them, and I'll realize, okay, fine, they're right about 1 + 1, but when they got to 3 + 3, they were saying that 3 + 3 is equal to Jews are trying to kill everybody and take over the world. and Tucker Carlson is fantastic, and Candace Owens is right. And personally, I think Tucker Carlson is out of his mind. Candace Owens is crazy. And 3 + 3 is equal to 6. 3 + 3 is not equal to a conspiracy. So,
Yeah.
and when that happens, I will tell these people, look, when sometimes it happens multiple times, I'll get multiple messages, and I don't want to offend people, but I'm going to tell them, look, I'm sorry, I disagree, but this is wrong. This person on this channel, they're right about this, but they're lying about that, or they're wrong about that, or they're misleading, or they have a mixed agenda here. They're using the truth to tell a lie. And then I've got to disappoint these people. I cannot affirm and validate your erroneous ideas. Unfortunately, if I've spent all the time researching something, I'm going to say, this person, this channel's a Gnostic. This person is just whatever. They've got all sorts of crazy ideas, and I'm not going to affirm or validate them. And I'm sorry if it disappoints you and people have abandoned the channel because of that, but simply because, you know, I like someone doesn't mean I'm going to affirm whatever they think.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Osama?
Quran 961. Can you open my Quran, please, and read to us that holy verse from the holy word of Allah? MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Did you just say there's holes in the word of Allah?
No. Holy, man. Holy. I mean, see, you have intent in your heart, an evil intent, and you twist my words to make it sound bad. I said holy. It could be understood as what you said, but I meant holy.
I don't have a tent in my heart. Okay.
How about a building? How about a structure? How about something? I don't know.
You know, Sun Tzu or Lao Tzu or someone, could be Confucius, once said, he spoke about intent, and he said, women who go camping should fear evil intent.
Fear intent, mashallah, mashallah.
What did you say? Chapter 9
and verse 61, mashallah.
The 6 next to the 1, okay? I have African education, so it takes me a little while to get these numbers through my head. This is more than 10, because I got to take off my shoes and sock to count to 15.
Please,
you know what I'm saying?
Please, yeah.
Please keep going. Yeah. And some of them who harm the prophet and say, he is all ears, say, an ear of good to you. He believes in Allah.
So it is Quran, it's not just Sunnah, man. It is Allah himself. Allah knows it. Muhammad knows it. Everybody knows it, except you. What is wrong with you, man?
Yeah. You know, the people who were hearing Muhammad should have had wax in their ears. That would have done them a world of
good. Have you ever seen Shrek 2? He actually got a big piece of wax out of his ear and he made a candle out of it. That was really smart action of Shrek. But anyway, let's move on to our study. Go ahead, brother. Forget about ear and wax and all this sick stuff. Okay.
All right. So yeah, welcome everyone. Everyone is new. Glad to have you around. Please do understand I do to say things here, not for sure I do on the channel. I discuss very difficult, sometimes
Yeah, looks like we lost Lloyd.
I know we lost. Hey, we can. Oh man, now I'm losing me. What is going on here, brother Lloyd? The devil is in the program here.
Allah is working in mysterious ways again. Yeah, it's one of those.
Maybe Satan also is a big ear. Not just Muhammad is a big ear, but Satan is a big ear. He can hear us.
Yeah, no. So people saying it's lagging, it's going haywire. But anyway, yeah. So let me close that. Yeah. So anyway, Osama, you do know that I tend to go where others don't. I tend to be ahead of the pack, I guess, in one sense, in that I was speaking about the Sharia in detail 5 years ago. It's only become a thing now. I've been talking about certain topics that only now are becoming, shall we say, when I first did this monotheism stuff, when I first did some of the Gnostic links to Islam, that was 5 years ago. No one believed me. Now it's just kind of normal conversation. In fact, Ahmed al-Jalad has just come out with stuff where they talk about how Allah is actually a god from 3,000 years ago in Arabia.
Man,
that's now official science.
But here's the truth: you plant a seed, and it would take some time. The seed will grow and will become a tree and produce more seeds. So I'm thankful to the Lord that your work, which you have put into action 5 years ago, now is bringing fruit. So praise God. This is awesome. I wish what we're doing even today here will come back in a couple of years to be a multitude of others to use it and spread it around. That's exactly what we want.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So let's just dive into this. So we ended up here last time. We've covered this slide a couple of times before, but this is the next slide in the series. Allah is the Lord of Sirius. Now, prior to this, we had spoken about Quran surahs named after pagan deities. There are multiple chapters of the Quran, and the Quran refers to multiple pagan gods, right? Of course, it misidentifies many of them and so on, and can't explain them. But once you look into it, you'll find these things are very much part and parcel of what was the religious landscape of Muhammad's era. And Allah is the Lord of Sirius, right? Sirius is the god Shin. We'll look at that again. Quran 53:49, An-Najm, the star, and he, Allah, alone is the Lord of Sirius, right? Sirius was worshipped by Nabonidus. He was the king of Babylon who settled in Arabia, just north of Mecca. Only once is a star mentioned in the Quran by its Arabic name. And Al-Shira is this. Al-Shari, okay, well, Al-Shira, that's what I had here, but is the star Alpha Canis Majoris, so Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. It was worshipped by Arab tribes before Islam. And here to stress that Allah, the creator of all, is the Lord of Sirius. That would make him the Lord of a celestial pantheon. Shin was the head of this pantheon of gods. Shin is therefore the Lord of Sirius. Shin, following that logic, is Allah. And according to Al-Jalalain in the Tafsir, this is a star beyond the constellation of Gemini, which was worshipped in the time of pagandom. So they know what it is. And it is he who is the Lord of Sirius, according to Ibn Abbas, which was worshipped by the Khuzah.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Lloyd, if you think about it, Muslim will look at it, even if you said they know it. Yeah, they know it. But you look at it that he is not... Allah is the God who made the Shari. He is the one who made the star, not that he is the star as you and I understand it now, or as it's actually what it meant. The Bible never said anything about any of the things which God created to be that we call Yahweh, Jehovah, God, the Lord by its names. But here, Muslim will look at it, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, he's a God of the sun. He's a God of the whole universe because he made them. You see how the Muslim look at that statement and could not see anything wrong with it.
Fair enough. I mean, they got a bias towards obviously trying to reinterpret, Islamic reinterpretation of everything. But taken at face value, it's really pretty straightforward. Right. Yeah. But once you start to add the narrative, once you start to piece the narrative together, going into the history and the rest of the mythology around it, it tells you a different story. Right. So we see here a star worshipped by some ancient pagans. Great and well. Who are the Banu Khuzah mentioned by Ibn Abbas? Right. They're one of the main ancestral tribes of the Arabian Peninsula. They ruled Mecca for a long period prior to Muhammad. They lived in Yemen. Then they moved north. They also worshipped Al-Manat. And of course, Muhammad worshipped Manat. And we know that his son was called apparently Abd al-Manat or something like that. Khuzah became the custodians of the Kaaba. So they apparently, according to the whole mythology, looked after the Kaaba, and they passed the duty on from father to son for 500 years. I think here they're just kind of trying to copy the Levite tradition. And one of them brought an idol called Hubal to Mecca from Syria. And Hubal was the prime deity in the Kaaba, and Muhammad was consecrated to Hubal. And Hubal also is he who is Baal, the prefix, he who is Baal. And of course, Hubal was also Allah. So you had an Allah who was Hubal. All of these connections we've covered. Saint Murad is here. Hey, wow. Ah, that's great. Do you want to join us in the stream, Murad? I'll drop you the link. Nice to see you, man. Great to know you're good. And of course, you're welcome. So yeah, guys, I do try to support Murad monthly. I do try to keep him, in my thoughts, and I do speak about him. So yeah, if you can also support Murad for his work, for the Quran that he made, that'll be fantastic. Always good. Just in case, Murad, I've dropped the link if you'd like to join us. Yeah, great to see you. Any thoughts from you, Osama or JC?
We're okay.
From
We're
me,
good.
for me, about this connection, there was this video from Al Jalad just in this month where he said that they found these inscriptions where they had placed some of these Arabian gods on the story of Noah, I think it is. I think he said, so if you take the Abrahamic story and then you replace the names in there by putting your own gods, that is okay, say, for people to just tell the story. But if that then becomes a religion where they say, no, these are the names, and they make it all the way into the Quran, that is not Abrahamic faith. That is the legends of the people in the region where they are just attaching their own culture and names and knowledge to Abrahamic stories, and that becomes the religion. So if there is a clear link there, then we can see that Islam was kind of trying to bring everything together for the people in the land, as opposed to, hey, no, we are Abrahamic. No, it had, evolved quite a bit.
Right. Well, so let's continue, right? So now let's talk about Göbekli Tepe, which was built to worship Sirius. And Göbekli Tepe is considered by many, it's not known, there are older ones, but it was, when it was found, the oldest temple in the world, right? The world's oldest temple is built to worship the dog star, Sirius. New research has revealed that the world's oldest known temple, Göbekli Tepe in southern Turkey, was probably built to worship the star Sirius. Göbekli Tepe is at least 12,000 years old. Fine and well. That's the star Sirius. Now, let's have a look. Let me just find something that's going to be relevant. I will cover this again later. But I want to bring this up. You see that image. Now have a look at this image. The moon over the pillars of the Kaaba is a very popular image. It's something that they make news reports. Oh my gosh, we've been blessed. The moon is over the two pillars of the Kaaba and so on, the two pillars of the, and just look at that, the same idea here, the same concept, right? But we'll see if this links. So here you've got Urfa. Don't forget, Abraham came to Haran, right? And he then went from here across into Canaan. So this is where Abraham was, right? And the Muslims were trying to follow the original religion of Abraham before he supposedly started to worship Yahweh, right? So that's just above the border. The Göbekli Tepe temple central pillars set within a circular enclosure would have framed the rising of the dog star Sirius at different points in time. Okay, now Molech, we've mentioned this. Molech is the Canaanite deity associated in biblical sources with child sacrifice, right? And Molech is a variant of the name for the god Baal, which can be general, as in the Lord, or specific. So it can be general, or it can be a proper name, right? Monoliths in North Africa bear the engraving Malik, often written as Malik Mir or Malik Dim, which may mean the sacrifice of lamb and sacrifice of man. Right? So in North Africa, Molech was renamed Kronos. Kronos migrated to Carthage in Greece. Kronos became Saturn. And in mythology, he became a Titan and father of Zeus. Molech is affiliated with and sometimes equated to Baal, although the word Baal is also used to designate any god or ruler. Right? So you can see here, you've got the bull and the crescent right there. Hi, Emmanuel, I'm echoing back. Good. Okay, so MLK, that's a Semitic root. Example of word with the root Malik, Mamaluk, Melchizedek, Malkite, Moloch. right? It's West Semitic. It means to rule, to dominate, to possess, to own, right? Also ruler and king. Melkite from Aramaic, Melkei, plural of Melke, royal king. Melchizedek, righteousness. Moloch from Hebrew, Molech, from Canaanite, Mulek, right? Also king and Mameluke. Except when we get to the Mamelukes that are Muslims, now it comes from the Arabic Mamluk, which means owned, slave, okay? To own or possess. So it starts to develop different connotations.
Brother Lloyd, can Emmanuel mute his mic for a second?
Emmanuel.
If you can mute your mic, Emmanuel, good to see you, brother. Make sure that the echoing is coming from you. When you came in, they start having some echoing.
Yeah. I as you can see, I got rid of the echo.
All right, good.
Okay, right. So a couple of things I'll draw together. Right, Silam, the letters SLM, root of Islam means graven idol, right? And in the Strong's Dictionary, Hebrew H423 is Allah, right? And it's a curse. It means this is a curse. So the word in the Hebrew, Allah, means a curse. Okay, so I'm just putting out a few ideas. Any thoughts from you guys before I go on?
You're killing me. Allah means curse in Hebrew?
Yes.
Okay.
Allah
That's
is curse. That's
interesting.
Hebrew, that's Strong's H423. Yeah.
On the previous slide where you had this image of Baal, was it like a house or was it like a furnace? Do you know
It's a
what
furnace.
this
There's
image
a fire in there.
Yeah.
Never was one of the
This is for sacrificing mainly children. On the bottom, you have the fire, and then in the chest area, these are like doors or chutes, and you put your children in there, and then that's the idea. And that's also because of the association with Saturn or Kronos. Kronos eats his children, so you appease him by sacrificing your firstborn.
Right. So now you've got these oddities, right? They claim that, so the oldest temple in the world, which is to Sirius, is exactly the same place that Abraham was in Haran. We've spoken about Haran being effectively the capital of the Sabians, and they were moon worshippers, right? And there's a whole astrological pantheon that obviously the moon would be the head of. So there's a few oddities. Now, the word Salam, right, is the root of Islam, and it means graven idol. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. So we are often told that Arabic Salam is the reason for salam and Islam and so on. That's what the root gives us. Salam and Islam, shalom, etc. Muslims kind of forget, right, a few other important details. It's a common Semitic word, right? And it's in Hebrew 6754, that's in Strong's, right? It means image, heathen gods, right? We see it in 2 Kings, Daniel, and so on. And Salam, the earliest known form, is the name of Shalim. Like, think of Yerushalim, right? Jerusalem was a Canaanite city, right? It was the place of Shalim. Shalim is another solar deity, or another astronomical deity, so Shalim. And it's the ancient god of dusk, of Ugarit, of Canaan, of Syria. Jeru, some would say it was the altar of Shalim, right? Jeru-Shalim. And Venus, the evening star, back to that, right? Not Sirius, but again, these references to heavenly bodies. And the offspring of Al with Atherat. So now you've got this whole Canaanite idea of a partner, the god having a wife and having kids. Right? Any thoughts, Osama, before I go on?
Islam and Salam, they're 2 separate words. And I see here, you may say that Islam coming, the word Salam is portion of Islam.
The root.
Yeah, that's right. But Islam means to submit or to surrender. Salam, Shalom, Solomon, Jerusalem.
Yeah, no, it's just that the root. It's just that the 3-letter root, SLM, has multiple words.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I just don't want people to understand that we're talking about Islam means peace.
Not at all. Not at all. No, it's just that the 3-letter root, SLM, has multiple words associated with it.
Yeah.
But in Akkadian, as another Semitic language, you have Salmu, which is inscribed, a graven image, statue. So you've got Shalom, which is peace, but also you have graven image. Now, don't forget, in the Kaaba, there were lots of graven images, supposedly 360. And in Arabia, they had loads of graven images, and Baal was a graven image, and we saw many graven images. You had Salamu, graven image. Aramaic and Syriac, Salama means image, idol. Found in Nabatean, Palmyrene, and Arab Hatra. We spoke about Hatra as well, which is an Arab city in northern Mesopotamia, in Iraq. So Salim is often an object dedicated to a deity. So the earliest use of the word SLM is something that is said, thou shalt make unto thee any graven image. It's a negative connotation in terms of being an image. SLM, that's how it was used. So it's odd that Islam says, yeah, it just means to submit. It no longer means graven image. It just means to submit to what? Okay, and it has a feminine form, like you have Allah and Alat. And Ahmad al-Jalad was kind enough to tell us we had Allah and Alat, which were gods of Arabia back in the day. Well, gee golly whiz, we also have the feminine version, Salam and Salamat, the feminine form of the graven idol. And in Yemen, though, it's singular, dual, and plural. But it's interesting, Allah and Alat, Salam, the idol, and Salamat.
Salamat. Oh.
Right, there's a parallel there. At least there's a parallel, right?
Yeah.
And then if you go to the Hebrew, it says there that this is a shadow used of anything that is vain, an image, a likeness, an idol, right? And in Syriac and Chaldean, it's an image, right? So you're talking about, again, image, graven idol. That's the whole context here, but of something that is vain. Right? And the word Silim in common Semitic occurs in many languages. It means inscribed image, a large or small statue. So in the Kaaba, they tell us, well, there were hundreds of statues, right? But it means to submit, except it used to mean worship of graven idols. So the earliest use of the word SLM, Islam, was the worship of graven idols. Hebrew Selim means image or likeness. Syriac Selama means image or idol. It is used in Old and Official Aramaic, Nabatean, Palmyrene, Hatran, and Old Syriac inscriptions, an image of a god or a man. Why do you think Muslims want to get away from Islam means submission and tell us it means peace? Because the fact is that originally it meant statue, image, a likeness. Even in Nabatean, Palmyrene, dozens of other languages from Africa, North Africa, all of that. Why would they want to change and say that, no, it means peace, when actually it means submission to the graven idol? That's where I'm going with this. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but don't forget the statement, Islam Taslam. If you submit or you surrender, you'll receive peace. You will be the one who gain peace. So it's not, you cannot say Islam means peace. It can just, the peace you receive in Islam after you submit, otherwise will kill you. Then you're not going to have peace. You'll be cut to pieces.
Yeah. I said it before, but I want to say it again. I can really understand Muslims' perspective on this. To them, Islam really means peace, and it's your fault as an apostate or as an unbeliever that we cannot have peace. Islam would be peaceful. There would be no terrorists. There would be no wars if everyone was submitting to Islam. And then we could have peace. It's only because of you evil infidels that we have to have war. That's their perspective.
Okay, and if I may, I think for people, most people watching, they have heard. So Islam comes from the root of salam, of peace, but Islam means submission, and that's where we end. We don't think about it more, but let's think about it for a moment. With Christianity, we know where the word comes from, we know what it means, we know what it represents. It doesn't have any other like hidden meaning. But in Semitic languages, the double meaning of words and things like that were very much used. So why would they end up having a religion that, yes, sure, it means submit, but that same root, that same usage of the word in that region, it actually had other meanings, and people would have understood all of those meanings simultaneously. It's not just like Christianity means Christians from Christ, that's it, game over. in Semitic languages is different. So I don't think that dismissing and saying, no, Islam is only this one thing, people would have understood a lot more from this word than we do.
Yeah, and when did it become Islam? We know it only became Islam in what, the 9th century? Before that, it was shalom, a greeting, right? And that wasn't the name of the religion back then. And SLM only meant graven idols prior to that. So why did they pick a name that was part and parcel of graven idol worship? Because the word Islam as a name of a religion is a fairly late development. And by the way, these are some of these graven idols. This is from Jordan. We've covered this before. This is 9,000 years old. This is 7,000 BC. These are graven idols with faces. You can see this is what these graven idols, and this is from Jordan, right? And you can see the standing pillars here and so on. More graven idols.
Is this an owl or a human?
No idea. Probably human. Probably humans got fingers. So yeah, but let's continue. I'm just going to throw out.
I just want to mention real fast. In Deuteronomy, it says, "You shall not set up a sacred pillar which the Lord, which Yahweh your God hates." Right. Especially, it mentions specifically stone pillars. Exactly, probably these kinds of stone pillars that we see right here.
Yeah, no, I've covered this before. Look, I mean, remember, this is like episode 6. I have covered this at length in the past. And let me just go back here. You might remember that I did these pillars in Saudi Arabia. There are over 50 of these known places with standing stones like this, with pillars like this. There are dozens of them all over. Here's another one. There's dozens of these. There's at least 50 of these known in Arabia. And there's thousands of sites like this, old sort of sites with these weird kind of symbolism all over Arabia. And so this whole history of pillars and standing stones goes way back. We're talking 7,000, 9,000 years. Right? Now, from pillars and so on, let's go back to the hilal, right? The crescent, Islam's symbol. Well, we know we've got, Morocco has a pentagram flag. That's the pentagram for witchcraft or Satanism, and that's the flag of Morocco. You can see here, this looks a little bit like the hammer and sickle, but okay. But there you go, star and crescent, right? And you can see here, you can see how many of these countries. Think Mauritania, here you've got the star and the horns of the bull. Libya's got it, Algeria's got it. Plenty of places like Tunisia and so on their flags, you've got the star and the crescent. Right.
The reason it looks similar to the symbols in communism, the 5-pointed red star, the sickle, which can also be represented as a crescent, is, as I said before, these are all, and as you mentioned, these are all symbols for Kronos, Saturn, whatever you want to call him, which is the morning star, which is the same kind of pagan deity that we've been talking about all along. That's what they worship.
Yep. Yeah, no, so there's this, it's astrological, but don't forget, once it moves, once the ideas move, they get corrupted, they get changed, they get altered. So what happens in Greece is going to be different in Yemen, simple. And then some other idiot's going to come along and confuse it. Now, the classical Arabic name, for the full form of the moon is Al-Qamar. So Hilal can also be Al-Qamar, right? Or Qamar. These are moon gods. And the Arabian names for the moon god include An-Nayir, the luminous one, Sayin, the cognate of the Babylonian Shin. Interesting. So you have Babylonian Shin and Arabian Sayin. So you've got a similar name, right? Which is to the ancient Hadramites, right? That's Yemen again. Qal, Ka'el, to the tribe of Kinda. We've spoken about the Kinda before. And Wad, love, to the Manaeans. And Warak, the wanderer, like essentially referring potentially to planet, to the Himyarites and the Sabaeans, right? And Muhammad was a Sabaean, supposedly. A common act of moon worship amongst the Semites was to kiss the hand when you see the moon, right? Crescent, Hilal. Planets, Al-Qamar. So you also have the moon god, and then the moon, Hilal, Al-Qamar, right? And Ruhyat al-Hilal in astronomy, the sighting of the lunar crescent. Very important for the beginning and end of Ramadan.
Mhm.
Right? Some divinities are not exclusively Yemeni. There's evidence for the god Wad in the Persian Gulf, and according to tradition, he was worshipped, blah, 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 and the gods Sain and Anbi had corresponding gods in Mesopotamia, Shin and Nabu. So these were the same gods, different name in a different culture. The names change, it's actually the same deity. Now, pagan hand kissing at the Kaaba. Don't forget, when you see one of the practices is, when you see the moon deity, you kiss your hand. Let's have a look. In Job 31, 26 and 27, if I have regarded the sun in its radiance, or the moon moving in splendor, so that my heart was secretly enticed, and my hand offered them a kiss of homage. So here in Job, they're speaking of that these were regarded as deities, and you would kiss them as a sign of respect to the deity. That too would have been an iniquity calling for judgment, for I would have denied God above.
Amen. So Job
Right.
did not worship, honor, respect, or kiss the sun or the moon, but he called it for what it is. It is sin to do such a thing.
And can I ask a question?
Osama, we need to give up and go home. We can't stop Islam. People have been trying for 1400 years, but they're failing to stop it. Osama, we got to pack up, take our ball, and go home, guys.
No,
Guys,
listen, I'm not quitting until the last breath I have in me.
yeah.
May I ask
yeah.
one
Go on.
question on this? I didn't know about the practice of kissing of the hand, so I take it that Muslims are still doing that to this day. Do they know they do it because of the moon, or did they give them a different tradition, like Muhammad did it, or something
let's
like
read
that?
from the Sharia. Okay, this is the practice when you go to the Kaaba, when you go do the Hajj, right? When you reach the Yemeni corner of the Kaaba, you do not kiss the corner, but you touch it and then you kiss your hand.
Okay. Thank you for that.
And by the
Yeah.
way, you don't make sound when you kiss your hand. Do not make sound. You just literally made your lips touch your hand without no kisses. Loud kiss.
Right. So now, okay, Hillel ben Shahar means fallen angel. That's from Isaiah. That's in Hebrew, right? And Shahar is the god of dawn in the pantheon of Ugarit. Shahar is described as a child of El. So now, lunar pantheon, astrological pantheon, okay? And also in Matthew 17:15, Jesus heals a boy possessed by the moon. And that's where we get the word lunatic. Someone affected by the moon, okay? Negatively affected by the moon, right? Okay, so let's have a look. Inscriptional evidence of pre-Islamic classical Arabic. And we're going to talk more about the Yemeni corner and all of that of the Kaaba. We'll get to all of that. So the next phrase is traced as al-Maq, right? Baal, al-Makkah, Baal. Now we know that al-Makkah was called Allah, but he was also called Baal. And this is referring to their god. The first word, al-Makkah, is claimed by some scholars to be derived from Il, supposedly the word God in Hebrew, and al-Makkah, protecting. Okay, the god of protection. I found no evidence supporting this, but Al-Manzur indicated in the Lisan al-Arab, that's the most famous Islamic dictionary, 20 volumes, that the root word has plenty of meanings, including bright white. And al-Maq can also be al-Mik and al-Amka, il-Lumku, and so on, and all are adjectives meaning the shining white. So, in the Musnad inscriptions of Yemen, the word al-Maq or al-Mik, using the Arabic article al, not the Hebrew il, right, is al-Nur, the light, and al-Nur is the moonlight. There's a specific word to describe here, the moonlight, right? Al-Manzur listed in Islamic hadith that al-Maq means love. Now, Wad means love. Wad was Allah, right? Wad is the father. Al-Maq means love, the god of love. It is very likely the word al-Mik refers literally to the shining moon god, right? And this is Yemen's god, al-Makkah. And it can be a name of a golden statue as well. The meaning of al-Maq, which conveys the image of bright light, fits the description of a shining golden statue as well as a bright white moon. So now you've had, wasn't Moses very angry when he came down the mountain with the tablets and the Jews were worshiping a golden calf, a golden statue? And then, of course, you have, apparently there was a statue of Aphrodite, according to the 7th century. Yeah, who was the Christian that wrote about that? So it's just a bunch of odd associations here. Just any thoughts from you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about this before. The golden calf essentially is the same thing as the crescent, because you have the divine bull, right? A bull's horn looks like a crescent.
Yes. No, that is the symbolism. That's the direct symbolism, right? So just these odd. Now, okay, Waraka ibn Nawfal, right? Waraka ibn Nawfal is, I think, the cousin of Muhammad's wife, and they validated that Muhammad was a prophet receiving revelation from Allah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was an early Arabian monotheist and contemporary of the prophet, and there are few historical details about him, and they seem to be legendary. But he was the son of Abd al-Uzza, so he was supposed to be a Christian. Muslims or whatever, many people will say he was a Christian, but he's the son of Abd al-Uzza, right? And he was the cousin of the Prophet's first wife, Khadija. So you've got Al-Uzza here, and now Qatar, right? So just there's so much reference to these pagan ideas, which it doesn't really get expanded in the Quran, because the Quran is arguing with Jews and Christians as far as we can tell, or at least with biblical concepts. Yeah. And it barely speaks about paganism, but it has these offhand references, and I'm trying to find what do these all link to. Right, now, Christoph Luxemburg, the Syro-Aramaic.
Before you get to Al-Kawthar, Brother Lloyd, when Muslims or whoever says that Waraka ibn Nawfal was a Christian, they use him as a propaganda to say, look, he was a Christian, and he knows the scripture, and he knows that Muhammad is coming after him. That's why he was waiting for him. And when Khadija took Muhammad to him and they have the conversation, and Muhammad told him about the early the first verses which he quoted from, he said, "Oh, you are a prophet. We know for sure you are." That's all propaganda. If he was a Christian, he would have rejected Muhammad or anyone to claim to be a prophet after the coming of the Son, the Lord Jesus Christ. But obviously, maybe he was a cultic Christian, but not a Christian at all.
Right, I would agreed. So,
yeah, keep in mind, these people didn't really have contact with mainstream Christianity as we understand it today. They had contact with weird, Gnostic, heretical sects, right? Yeah. That if they had contact with Christians at all, that's the kind of quote unquote Christians they had contact with.
Yeah.
Right. Now, just that he mentions here the word Qatar, right? This is the only reference I could find to Qatar, because when you look at the name of the place, Qatar, the country Qatar, you can't find where the name comes from, right? This is the only effort by Luxemburg here to say Qatar is a form of Qatara, right? Now, we don't really know exactly what it means, but the thing is that Qatar is the only reference I could find to Qatar Wahasis, who is a maker god. He's a god that created weapons, right, for the major gods. So he would make weapons, right? So, and they speak of, but also in this case, it's supposed to be Qatar, a spring in paradise. That's the other reference I could find. Now, okay, so now let's look at now that we've spoken about all these astronomical things, all of these things, so let's go back to let's have a look at the Encyclopedia of Islam and see what this tells us. Atar, a relic of the Prophet, his hair, teeth, and so on and so on and so on, right? But then they speak of, in astrology, Atar is also used as a technical term with reference to the influence of the stars, because Muslims believe that the stars have influence, and they believe in astrology. Oddly enough, it's part of Islamic magic. And the stars in Islam, according to the Encyclopedia of Islam, are considered to be higher beings that possess a soul. Yeah. And tahlil, okay, the saying of the formula La ilaha illallah, the first element of the shahada, right? That's the tahlil, but also it means joy at seeing the new moon, the hilal. So seeing the new moon is a source of joy. And according to the Encyclopedia of Islam, for some reason, stars are considered to be higher beings that possess a soul.
Well,
Any thoughts?
that's just mainstream paganism right there, you know. That's what paganism is based on, the worship of celestial objects.
Yeah, but in Islam, the celestial objects are alive. And if
Yes,
you are
they're always considered to be alive. To a pagan, Saturn or whatever planet isn't, well, it's obviously the planet, but at the same time is their deity.
the deity,
There is
yeah,
no
out in
difference.
space,
It's the
far away.
same thing to
Right?
them.
It's far away. It's not present. It doesn't come to Earth. It comes down low into the sky, but it doesn't touch the Earth because it's a foreign object in space. But it possesses a soul, but then it's a god because it's the offspring of the gods in paganism. Why does Islam still have this belief?
Because it's
Why is
based on
this reference
paganism.
here? It makes no
Muslim
sense
deny
unless, sorry?
But Muslim denies that, and they think, oh no, we're not worshiping the moon, we're not worshiping the hilal, we're worshiping God.
Wait! I've heard that
Technically, the
argument
moon
from
is
Muslims
God.
as
It's
well.
God. God's over there. That is God. So they could explain that.
Right? They always claim, oh no, we're not actually worshiping, whatever object it may be. You know, we're not actually practicing idolatry. We're not actually worshiping the Kaaba or the strange space rock in the
but
Kaaba.
Christians worship
No,
a
we're not
stick.
actually worshiping that. That's just a symbol for what we worship. That's just a symbol for our
Really,
God, Allah.
but we
But
worship a
that
stick.
is how pagans would view it, though. Right? That is why you worship an idol, right? That's why any pagan worships an idol.
Yeah, but then they tell us we worship a stick.
Right. And just a thought. So the Quran says things like that Allah breathes His spirit, and there is the whole thing about breathing, and also say be and it is. These sort of things which are very Christian. By the time that we get to the traditions, the removal of that, then Allah is no longer a spirit. It doesn't have a spirit. Spirit means Gabriel. They change all of that, and they replace things with very pagan stuff, like for example the nur, which we've all heard many times, and I always just ignore it. It's like, well, it's the light of Allah, there is no problem with using an expression like that, but it looks like they replace the original, say, Judeo-Christian view of how things were, and replace them with these very pagan ideas, which goes as well into the Shias with Hussein and the family and Fatima being created from the nur of Allah and things like that. Very pagan.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like there's necessarily direct references, but you go into all these pagan references that are part of that culture and geography, and then you go to Islam and you see they are still reusing these ideas. They never got rid of them. You know, they're still there. They're still present. So clearly they were trying to cling to these things, but try to obscure them or hide them or masquerade them as something else. That's the sense I'm getting. So let's go to Quran 53:1. Allah swears by the stars. Quran 53:1, by oath of the beloved shining star, Muhammad, by the star when it sets, your companion is not deceived. So why swear by a star, right? By the creation. You should be swearing by Allah, if Allah is the creator. Tafsir Ibn Abbas says, Allah set him on a lion near Haran. And then we come back to Haran, which is the city of the moon, where you had the Sabaeans and the moon religion, the headquarters of the moon religion, that snatched him from among his friends and took him to a place nearby. It tore him apart from head to foot, but did not eat him because of his impurity, just as the prophet had prayed against him. It also said here, Allah swore by the stars when they set. Hold on, why is Allah swearing by the stars? I thought Allah is the creator. You only swear on something that's greater than you. Why are you swearing to the creation, these living stars? That's just Tafsir Ibn Kathir. I swear by the setting of the stars, and that is a great oath. Now, why would a Muslim, two famous scholars, swear by astrological deities, effectively, or astronomical deities? None of this makes sense, right? This doesn't make sense at all. Any thoughts?
Yeah, also, it doesn't make sense from the perspective of Allah at all. I mean, a star only set, or any planetary objects, only sets from the perspective of people on Earth. If Allah is the creator of the whole universe, to him, no star ever sets from his
exactly,
universal perspective.
So I gave you all of these other odd things, right? Locations, places, names, all of these things. There's just so many references, so many indirect references, but there's just so much of this stuff. There's such a huge amount of it, right? They're just like, it's like loose dangling things. And then you get to the Quran and you get to Islam, and then Muhammad is the shining star. By the star when it sets, and they make an oath, and Allah swears by the stars. I mean, it's like, I swear on the name of the Lord that I'm telling the truth. No, I swear by the apple tree in the backyard. It's like, why would Allah swear on something that he made? As if that thing is something that could validate his oath. Usama, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'd like to, if you don't mind, open your Bible to Genesis 22, verses 16 and 17. I just got a few verses from the Bible to see who or how God swear in the Bible.
Let's have a look here. I'm just bringing up which version of the Bible would you like?
Anyone, I don't care. Just pick up one.
Okay, so we will take King James. What the heck? Everyone loves the King James. We'll go New King James. And said, by myself, I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing.
Okay.
So by myself,
God swear
in my own name.
Okay, let's go to, that is 16 and 17 or just 16?
16, let's go to 17. Is this the same one?
Genesis 22, 16 and 17. Yeah. New King James is good. I use New King James myself.
Yeah. I will bless you, and multiplying I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the shore, and your descendants shall possess the gate of their enemies.
When God used the word star, he's talking about the numbers. When God used the sand of the beach, he's talking about the numbers. That God will make Abraham so great that he would be huge number. Now, let's go to Jeremiah 51:14. Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 14.
Jeremiah 51
and verse 14.
How do we get the whole verse here? You get the whole thing. It's possible.
Yeah, if you just choose whatever translation.
There we go. 51:14, you said.
Yeah.
The Lord of hosts has sworn by himself. Now, if Allah is swearing by the stars, then the stars are greater than Allah.
Sure. Because when even me, human, I don't swear, by the way. But if I swear by my mother, not by my dog or my cat, the dead one or the living one. That's ridiculous. You swear by something honorable, great to you. Let's go to Isaiah 45, verse 23.
That's Isaiah 45, right? Let me just
You're on Isaiah 1 now.
And which verse?
Isaiah 45, 23.
23. Here we go. By myself I have sworn, truth has gone out from my mouth, a word that will not be revoked.
I'm going to be bothering you with a couple more and I'll be done. Amos chapter 6, verse 8.
Chapter 6, verse 8. The Lord has sworn by himself.
Okay. Last one, Hebrews, New Testament, and it tell us why. Hebrews chapter 6, verses 16 and 17. Hebrews.
Oops, sorry. There we go.
Chapter
Hebrews
6. Yep. And verse 13 and 14.
13 and 14. I'll get there in a moment. There we go. And when God made his promise to Abraham, since he had no one greater to swear by, he swore by himself.
Keep going.
Saying, I will surely bless you and multiply your descendants. And so Abraham, after waiting patiently, obtained the promise.
See, so the Bible is very clear. God does not swear by a rock or by some dirt or by some star or by some plant like the olives and the fig tree. What is it? See, Muslim cannot see anything wrong. If somebody come and ask me, Usama, will you do that for me? I said, yes, I will do it. Swear. Well, I swear by my dead dog, or by my nice sweet cat outside in my house right now. What is this?
Inshallah.
Do it. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah, exactly. So
if somebody swears to me anything not great, it means to me, Lord, if I say, swear to me you're going to do it, or swear, I swear, and you swear by something stupid or ridiculous, I know you're lying. I know you just made it up.
Yeah. I mean, that's just odd. So if this is supposed to be binding, the stars must be important to Islam. That's kind of where I was getting to, all of these things. So in the history of Al-Tabari, volume 1, from creation to flood, Ibn Abbas said that Ali ibn Abi Talib said to the messenger of Allah, you are like my father and mother. You have mentioned the course of the retrograde stars by which Allah swears in the Quran, together with the sun and the moon and the rest. And the Prophet said, Ali, there are 5 stars, Jupiter, Saturn, Zuhal, and Venus, Al-Zuhra. Again, you have a pairing here. I spoke about this last time. These I spoke of last time. Zuhal. So again, you've got all of these references. In the Encyclopedia of the Quran, we speak of light, page 187, Qamar, Qamar, and the moon. Qamariya, Qamar, are the moon letters. Now, don't forget, the Quran has letters that are moon letters, sun letters, earth letters, water letters, and so on, which is your basic sort of Kabbalistic magic. And there's such a thing as Arabic Kabbalah as well. Few people realize there's actually Arabic Kabbalah. And they speak of natural phenomenon of the heavens, give their names to a number of different surahs. So the star, the moon, Emmanuel, I'm echoing back. Right? The moon, the constellations, the signs of the zodiac, the dawn, the sun, right? Daybreak, the dawn. The Quran adopts all of these symbols, these symbolism. I don't know why they don't get rid of it, right? It is interesting, some of these natural phenomenon, celestial phenomenon, whose names figure as titles of the Quran, chapter titles, also feature as oaths in the Quran. For example, by the star when it goes down, by the break of day, Quran 89:1, by the sun and his glorious splendor, by the moon as she follows him. There are multiple celestial references in the Quran for oaths, for oath-taking, and many of these chapters are named after either the names of pagan gods or celestial objects. Really odd. You're shaking your head there, Osama?
Cheap oaths. Yeah. And people think this is the word of Allah. Nah, that makes no sense. If Allah is God, if Allah is God, he will actually do the opposite. He will denounce these verses, and he will demand it not to be used in the future.
Yeah. I mean, would a Christian swear by the stars? Or would you swear on the name of God, I will hold my oath and tell the truth, and I swear by Almighty God. Imagine you go to a courtroom and the guy swears on the Quran, I swear by the stars, I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me, moon.
Or simply help me, Allah. As you see in Quran chapter 2, verse 225, Allah said it's okay to lie while you're using the Quran and you swear on the Quran. I mean, this is unbelievable. When the Quran said it's okay to lie when you give an oath, Allah will not hold you responsible. I believe that's Quran 2:225.
At the break of day, I am telling the truth. By the sun and its glorious splendor, by the moon, I am telling the truth.
Listen, I like fig and I like the olive tree. Okay, by the fig and the olive tree. By Kaf, a mountain surrounds the earth, which is a mystery. That mountain never exists.
Yeah, this is astral worship. And a first principle of tajweed is that singing sort of style used to recite the Quran. The consonants with the same point.
Look, I hate to bother this brother, but there's a song made by that. I swear by the moon and the stars.
No singing. You're not allowed to sing.
But it's a song, man. Get the guy who sang it and play it for us. I swear by the moon and the star.
No,
where the song came from? It came from the Quran.
Yeah. Now in tajweed, that's when these imams sing the Allahu Akbar, you know, the whole bit, right? All letters are classified in terms of a basic type of this process, right? The alphabet has 14 solar letters, 14 sun letters, and the remaining are qamari or moon letters. So when you go into study the Quran actually has sun letters, moon letters, and others as well, which is very much letter magic. They call it letter magic. Some letters are those that blend, right? And so on. And yeah, so in other words, they still have all of this astrological symbolism, right? Yeah. And the Arabic term for the moon occurs in the Quran 27 times, usually paired with the sun, Shams. Surah 54 is the moon, right? Surah Al-Qamar. But that's the full moon, in reference to the moon seeming to split, blah, 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 right? The moon splits, that's the miracle, the moon splits. And the new crescent moon, Hilal, appears only once in its plural form, and so on and so on and so on, right? So, and light also refers to the sun and the moon. Moonlight is called Nur, and sunlight, Diya. So Nur, the Nur al-Muhammadi, that's the moonlight of Muhammad. So when they speak of the Nur, right, Nuriya, names like that, it's actually a reference to moonlight. So he's the one who made the sun a light and the moon a light. So they actually make different references to sunlight and moonlight.
The word diya is the right way to say it. Diya.
Oh, diya. Okay.
Diya, yeah.
Okay, right. So now let's continue. Right. Look, I'm not saying I've got a synthesized thesis for you, but all of these references, I mean, is it odd? Am I just barking up a tree here for no reason, or
no, just Lloyd, you're right on the money, brother. You're right on the money. I could not find any argument against what you're teaching. I could not.
Yeah. So, I mean, like Candace Owens, I'm just asking questions. You know?
Yes, true.
So the pagan moon religion, right? In other cultures, the moon was female and the sun was always male, right? Like in Western cultures, for instance. But the genders are reversed in Arabia. The moon is masculine. The star is the sun, or the child of the moon and the sun. And Muslims fast from moon to moon, right? Islam is a lunar calendar, and Islam's mosques all have pagan crescent moons above them.
I just want to mention the third image you're showing here. That's actually atop the Kaaba. This is like the highest
it's a hotel
object in Mecca is like this gigantic moon crescent thingy, and there's actually an apartment there. You can book it if you have millions of
dollars. Right,
dollars.
but notice this one here is very similar to the horns of the bull, and we'll get more into that, right? And this is the old Babylonian symbol here we spoke of. That's the old Babylonian symbol. And so these are very, very similar. And pictures like this of the moon above the Kaaba are very popular in Islam. The moon aligns directly above the Kaaba in Mecca's Grand Mosque. You see? Now, this takes us back to Göbekli Tepe and that sort of idea. It's just really odd that they're so proud of this. You'll find references to this all over their media, right? And then look at that and look at that. You can see the very similarity here. Right? The Kaaba doors, they have a sun symbol and a moon symbol. You've got the sun and you've got the moon, sun and moon. They've retained the symbolism. Right? This is the old symbol, that's the sun over there, that's the old door. Right? And then the pre-Islamic era, Arab Christians used the theophoric name Abdullah, apparently servant of Allah, as a baptismal name. And Abdullah was Muhammad's father's name. Arab Christians also use the theophoric name Abdullah as a baptismal name, right? But when Christians use the title Allah, they had the God of the Bible in mind. By contrast, Abdullah was also the name of Muhammad's pagan father. He was, however, named after Allah, the Makkan, al-Makkah, moon god, just as the Makkans with the names Hilal, Qamar were named in honor of the Makkan moon god. So think about it. You must know a Muslim called Qamar. I'm sure you've met Muslims by the name of Qamar, right? And that the pre-Islamic Arab Christians called Yahweh by the title Allah, the God, and Arabs called their high moon god Allah, the God, but in fact that's a proper name, does not show the slightest commonality between Christian and Islamic deities. There was simply the one was the God and the other one was that's Allah, the name of the God. Nowhere do Muslims use the name Yahweh.
And then, are you sure his name Abdullah was not Abdullah?
That's a question. That's a real question. Exactly. Yeah.
Because if he's
Okay.
Abdullah and Muhammad says that he's the servant or the messenger of Allah, why his father was not a believer? Why his mother was not a believer?
Good question. Yeah. And so the grammatical gender of the moon shows that Allah was a moon god, right? The grammatical gender of the word moon was one reason the moon was the high god in Arabian patriarchal societies. In Arabic, the usual words involving the moon are masculine, Qamar and Badr and Hilal. The word for the sun in Semitic languages is feminine. So the Encyclopedia Britannica tells us the word sun is feminine in Arabic. And then Yusuf Ali tells us, that's the Quran translator, the moon was a male divinity in ancient India. There's also a male divinity in Semitic religions. We're talking Babylon. And the Arabic word for the moon, Qamar, is one of the masculine gender. And because the word for sun is feminine, well, it couldn't be male. So therefore, it couldn't be the main deity, as it was in other regions. Right? And the pagan Arabs looked up on the sun as a goddess and the moon as a god. Quran translations do not follow the Arabic conventions, and scholars follow the ancient mythology. So in English translations, they use masculine pronouns for the sun and feminine for the moon. In other words, in Western mythology, they reverse them. But in Arabic, it's different. Okay, I'll pause there for that moment. So I'm done with that. Hopefully I'll move on. But I just wanted to throw all these things out. I don't have a... I mean, it's... Yeah. I mean, as an audience, what do you think of just all of these connections, all of these persistent connections related to the time and the place and the culture? Let's look at some coins with crescent and star. So here you've got a denarius from Hadrian, right? AD 117 to 138, right? You've got a laurel on his head, a star with a crescent moon, you can see it there, and another with 7 stars within and above the crescent moon, you can see here. Then you've got this one. Now you've got a Templar seal from the 13th century. The Templars are said to have been influenced by the Sufis, right? Then you've got a coin from Haran, right? Haran is featured quite often. Parthia, this is Iran, right? 1st century, and the Persian Sasanian Empire, crescent and star, crescent and star.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, no, we got that from the Ottomans. They say, no, we got the symbolism from the Ottomans. No, you didn't. That symbolism has been around for at least a couple of thousand years, if not longer. In fact, we know it's around for about 3,000 years.
Especially the one in Haran here in the top there. That is Abraham days. That's 1,800 years before Christ. That would be 2,400 years before Muhammad was born.
Right. No, fair point, right? Let's look at Egypt and Turkey. So you have the ancient Egyptian moon goddess, and you can see here the crescent and star, the crescent and the crescent. And this is from Turkey, right? This is not from the Ottoman days. This is long before the Ottoman days.
But
right?
you don't understand, Lloyd, Muslims do not know timeline. Allah does not know timeline in the Quran. So you could not... I mean, it's like you're talking to a blind about the beautiful colors and the flowers. That means nothing to them.
Right. Okay, so let's go back to Yemen now. Let's look at some coins, okay? So since the Baq symbol meant glory be to Allah, Al-Makkah was probably known as Allah already in pre-Islamic times. And now we have evidence of that, right? Ahmad al-Jalad has now finally given us some, as a Muslim scholar, it's great stuff. This is a coin from the Himyarites, from Yemen, right? This is a coin. Here you've got the bull, right? And you've got 3 pillars over here, right? And you've got this symbol here, you've got that symbol, and you've got this here, and you've got the crescent and the star, right? Now, they call this the Venus-Moon couplet. And this was the symbol for Al-Makkah, the moon god. And this symbol here, that one there, is called the Bakka symbol meaning glory be to Al-Makkah, to Allah, the Baq. Usama, you're nodding your head
Yeah.
there?
And you know, it's amazing. Allah mentions the Quran twice. One time Mecca, another time Becca. So you got both of them in the Quran.
Yeah. You have Makkah and Bakka right here on this Yemeni coin.
And it is, I don't know if you need the verses, I can bring them up, or we just let it go.
Up to you, but notice Makkah is the moon god. We know that Makkah, you can take it with the prefix al, and you just left Makkah, which is how many Muslims pronounce the word for Mecca, Makkah, and you've got Bakka, which is glory be to Al-Makkah, and Al-Makkah was the moon god.
Yeah, look at the Quran.
fascinating?
Yeah, Quran
Yep.
48, Quran 48:24. That is the only time the word Mecca is mentioned in the Quran. Quran 48:24.
48:24. And he is who holds back their hands from you and your hands from them in the belly of Makkah.
That is Mecca here. And here is Becca. Believe it or not, it is Quran chapter 3, verse 96. Quran chapter 3 and verse 96.
Should be here. There we go. Surely the first house that was established for the people was that in Bakka.
So you got Mecca and Becca. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, but Mecca and Becca were first known on Yemeni moon-worshipping coins.
So I thought when Muhammad wrote Becca for all these years, until we listened to your teaching here, I thought when he wrote Becca, it was a mistake. It actually, he meant Mecca, but somehow the meme changed to Be, and we got it wrong. But no, actually, he meant it Becca, and he meant it Mecca. What's
Right.
this?
This is the symbol of Attar, Venus, right? We spoke of Attar earlier, right? Attar is Venus, and I spoke of Attar. Let me go back. I did Attar up here, you see. Attar, astrology, a technical term that means the stars have influence, considered as a higher being possessing a soul. Attar is also the name of Venus, right? Really odd connection. I'm sure there's a reason for it. And then, of course, right, and they don't know what this is. And then Awam, which is a temple dedicated to Al-Makkah in Yemen. So that's the symbol for Awam, right? Now, here's the same coin. You can see here different versions of the same coin, right? You can see the crescent, right? You've got the Makkah and the Bakka symbols. You've got the same coin. This is a very common symbolism from Yemen.
How
From that
old these
region.
coins are, Brother Lloyd?
These will probably go back to 800 BC or something.
BC.
BC, yeah, probably go back several hundred years BC. These guys were big, like 1000 BC to about 300 AD.
Yeah,
the empires that have existed.
These symbols are all really, really old. They're basically the oldest symbols we have. You know, they're really ancient, and they were worshipped by pretty much everyone back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it odd? I mean, it's just that you have the same symbolism as Islam. You've got this is the crescent moon thing, we'll get, right? So it says here, the Bakka symbol was glory be to Allah. I mean, that's what the Bakka symbol, the Bakka, meant glory be to Allah. But this is 800 BC. That's a few minutes before Muhammad came along. And it features, yeah, just a little bit. He'll be along in 10 minutes, which features a more independent and unique Sabaean. Oh, Sabaean. Oh my God, Sabaean, Sabah, Yemen. And these earlier imitations of Athenian coinage, they were copying Greek coins, show an intense interest in the Mediterranean world. But as the Sabaean and Himyarites grew, as they became more powerful through territorial conquest and became more directly involved with Roman and Eastern trade routes to India, they established their own iconographic traditions, right? And you can see here, they've established their own traditions here. I should have removed that, sorry, but yeah. So also this here, that is Shin. That's the name of the moon god Sin, right there. So from coins to Al-Makkah. So these are symbols found on South Arabian coins, all of which happen to be found on the latest Sabaean Bucranium coin. Bucranium is the skull of a bull. From the 2nd to 3rd, okay, so this is, these would be 2nd to 3rd century AD. But we find the symbolism, much of the symbolism comes from much before that. A Makkah symbol is found on many Sabaean coins. Simpson wrote that the bull with lyre-shaped horns with a plume in between is an animal manifestation of Al-Makkah. Now we know Al-Makkah was Allah, and the bull was his animal, because the bull had the horns, and the horns were the crescent. The Bakka symbol is of special interest. It was placed on the other side of some Sabaean coins, right next to the bent ladder symbol of Al-Makkah. Since the Bakka symbol meant glory be to Allah, Al-Makkah was probably known as Allah in pre-Islamic times. Egerton Sykes, that's a very famous scholar, said that Allah seems to have been preceded by Al-Makkah, the moon god. Al-Makkah has 1,781 occurrences in the CSAI, the Corpus for South Arabian Inscriptions. So this was a very well-known deity, and it occurs at times as the name of a deity and at other times as a sanctuary or altar, as a place, like a Kaaba, if you will. So Makkah is a deity, but Makkah is also a place. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah. Let's tie what we're teaching here with J. Smith when he said Mecca as a city did not exist in Muhammad days. So when Muhammad said Mecca or Becca, or as it is written in the Quran, was he talking about the city Mecca, or is he talking about Mecca and Becca as we see it here to be gods, which was worshipped by the Arabian and Yemeni and all those people before, years before Muhammad was there?
Yeah. I'd say, look, I'd agree with you. JC, you've been very silent. Any thoughts from you? Because I agree with you. I agree that would fit the evidence. I think that's a plausible explanation.
Well, I'm trying to make sense of this also together with everything that we've been discussing here. So, for example, with the shows that you've had with Usama, the people who wrote the Quran, they had no real understanding of the Judeo-Christian religion. They just didn't. The stories are being told again and again, always different, and there is a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. Okay, so these people were not very knowledgeable about that. Then we have all of these stories that are not even biblical, like the sleepers in the cave, Alexander the Great. They are legends. So if we take all of those things into account, it looks almost as though someone took all of those stories from the Jewish legends, Christian legends, this whole thing, brought them to this place where they were pagans and said, hey, I bring you a new religion, and starts to talk out of his backside, and they still keep everything in. They keep swearing to God, to the moon, and doing all of these things. It's like, I bring you a new religion, but they continue doing whatever they want. And I know that doesn't quite fit with even my own understanding of what happened, but
if they're Gnostics, they're going to do syncretism. They're going to mix things that don't even mix, but they're going to stick them together. Because that's what Gnostics did. That's what these pagans did. They would do syncretic things and mix different elements to make new religions.
Yeah. If they knew, for example, the Old Testament, they would not have included verses where they are supposed to be swearing by the stars or the moon or things like that. They would be gone, because if they were familiar with the Old Testament, like Usama has shown, they would know that is big time haram. So
but they were trying to appeal to people in that region. They wanted to fit in with the pagans.
Yeah, a bit of everything. Yeah. That's why maybe they say that the Magians and the Sabians, they have nothing to fear. So they're still saying, hey, those groups there, no, they're good. They're good. Trust me, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only other place we get Makkah and Bakka together is from these Yemenis moon worshippers. Except in the Quran.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know it's a jumble of stuff I threw at you guys. But even I can't make sense of it. But I'm trying to say, look, this stuff repeats over and over, doesn't go away, it's everywhere. But then once we go to the Quran, it all ties into the Quran. It ties into the Quranic narrative.
Because it's hard to make sense out of nonsense.
Agreed. It's hard for me as well. It's a lot of stuff, but none of it is surprising, right? I mean, it all seems to come back. It always circles back to the same point, right? So now, so Makkah and Bakka, maybe you should speak to Jay Smith about that. You know,
I will.
You've got
You're already in my mind. I'm going to give him a call.
Great. Sounds fantastic. So let's look at the bull's horns and all of that nonsense, the two-horned one. Allah's pagan moon association is plainly seen in every mosque, yet Muslims tell us not to believe our lying eyes. We have to believe that Allah is the God of the Bible. They keep telling us Allah is the God of the Bible. We believe in the same God, same deity. And he's not a pagan moon god with the same titles as pagan gods, right? Don't believe that. Now in the Quran, King Dhul Qarnayn or Zul Qarnayn, or however they want to pronounce it today, is a good Muslim. Islam wasn't even around back then, but okay. Dhul Qarnayn means the two-horned one, or the possessor of two horns. Why would that be so important to them? Because bulls have two horns. And this refers to the crescent on his royal crown. Well, he was a pagan, wasn't he? The crescent crown indicates allegiance to the moon god. The crescent is allegiance to the moon god. So that crown, together with the fact that Dhul Qarnayn watched the sun set in a mud puddle, shows in the Dhul Qarnayn parable and the Quran that there's a pro-lunar and anti-solar message, that the moon is greater. The sun sets, but the moon rises.
But I disagree with the word parable in the Quran. Muhammad did not talk about Dhul Qarnayn as a parable, but as a true account.
Yeah, okay, true. Okay, fair enough. Good point. Sorry, my bad. I missed that. You're right. You're right. I was probably quoting something and and skipped that. But notice this symbol, the ibex. This is Dhul Qarnayn here. He's got the ibex's horns, and then here you've got the frontal view. Okay, the ibex's horns. So I found her and a people prostrating to the sun instead of Allah. That's for the Queen of Sheba, right? And sorry, they weren't. So this is the Queen of Sheba, but they were moon worshippers. They were Sabaeans, and they were moon worshippers, right? Egerton Sykes wrote that Allah seems to have been preceded by Al-Makkah, the Sabaean moon god, who ultimately was modeled on the Mesopotamian moon god Shin. This is a very well-known scholar, a very famous scholar from back in the day, like a century ago, right? So Allah was preceded by Il-Makkah. He says here, Il-Makkah, also Al-Makkah, the Sabaean moon god. So you've got other scholars that have made the same connection long before I did, right? And they said this is modeled on the Mesopotamian moon god Shin, and we know he's got many names. The Quran's Queen of Sheba account shows the Quran is pro-lunar but anti-solar. So according to the findings of some of these scholars, they say the Quran is giving a pro-lunar message, a pro-moon message. It's pro-moon god against the sun as the main god. And Dhul Qarnayn was a worshipper of Allah who received Allah's favor as a powerful ruler. Okay?
Well, of course, Alexander the Great was a true Muslim because he worshipped Kronos, which, as we found out, is Allah.
Right. I'm going to skip over most of this, right? Muhammad had Ibrahim conclude in Quran 678 that the moon was greater than the sun, right? Despite the fact that Abraham was dazzled by the sun when it rose, right? And so in most religions, right, the sun was greater than the moon, right? In the Battle of Uhud against the Meccans, Abu Sufyan ibn al-Harb said, Hubal, be thou exalted, may thy religion triumph. To which Muhammad replied, Allah is more exalted and more majestic.
Yeah.
So very odd that you're talking a fight here between the sun and the moon. Allah guided Abraham and Muhammad by the moon on the horizon. That's in multiple Quranic passages. I'm skipping over a lot of this here. And Allah shows believers our signs on the horizons. And, so there's all this moon loyalty, shall we say, within the Quranic narrative.
But I love Lloyd, the legend of the Jews in the Talmud. We know for sure the detail, which make more sense than that which we read in the Quran about Abraham worshiping the star and the moon and the sun. Because in the legend of the Jews, which was written between 200 to 500 after Christ, that's a good 150 years or so before Muhammad. We don't know exactly where it was. Abraham was born in a cave. And he actually was 10 days old when he walked out of the cave after drinking this magic milk from the finger of Jibril, or whatever finger drink milk from. And he was the first time This is his first time in his life to see the star and to see the moon and see the sun, and it makes sense in the story of the legend. But in the Quran, he was a fata. He was what, 12, 13 years old, maybe older, and we know for sure he knows what happened when the morning sun, when the morning light comes, that you will not see the star or the moon, and he know for sure that the sun is brighter than the light come from the moon. So it did not make sense to me when I read it in the Quran for all these years until I got to read the same story in the Talmud. I said, oh, he was a baby. Where they got it from. Yeah, this is his first time to come out from the cave to see the moon and the star and the sun.
Yeah. Guys, just so by the way, Mulhid Al-Islam is a special guest on our channel. He got timed out for a few minutes. So Mulhid, when the show ends, however many minutes you got timed out, like if it was 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you just stay an extra 5 or 10 minutes after the show, okay? Just to make it up to you. So guys, just, he's good to go. So Mulhid, just stay an extra 5 minutes after the show to get back the time you lost. I do apologize. The mods should not be timing you out. So, okay, yeah. But anyway, so also it says here, Ibrahim seems to accuse his countrymen of setting up Venus and the sun as deities next to the moon god, right? That's a reference, but we'll skip all that. I mean, so another place that we are advised, so the Yemen Hadith, I'll do three more slides, I think. Another place we are advised to seek knowledge is from Yemen. Now, so I'm taking all of these really odd, loose threads, these really weird, dotted around the Islamic narratives, all these references, and I'm like, okay, let's pick these threads and see what happens. There's all these loose dangling threads that all claims to be Abrahamic and biblical and blah blah. But then why are all of these pagan references around? Why are all these celestial references, astronomical references around, right? So I'm presented everything I found, and it seems to have a link now. But Yemen, there's numerous references to Yemen, but they don't seem to go anywhere. It's like dangling loose ends again. Let's look at Yemen, the Yemen Hadith. Okay. Faith and the wisdom, right? Let's call it that. Another place we're advised to seek knowledge. This is on a site called ghaib.com. Ghaib is like the wisdom, the secret knowledge, the inner enlightenment or something like that. Right, Usama? What is ghaib now again?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah.
Another place we are to seek knowledge from is Yemen. The Prophet said, the people of Yemen have come to you, the most sensitive in their souls, the softest of hearts. Belief or iman, aqidah or theology, and this is quoting from the site, is from Yemen. So in other words, the creed of Islam, the belief of Islam, the faith of Islam is from Yemen, according to Muhammad. And wisdom, the hikmah, is from Yemen. Pride and arrogance are found among the camel owners, that's the Arabs, and dignity among the sheep owners, that's in Bukhari and Muslim. The Prophet taught that we should seek out faith and aqidah, the theology, from the people of Yemen and the Asharis specifically.
Why he did not praise the Arab? I mean, why he's doing the opposite? I mean, when he talk about arrogance to come from the camel owners, arrogance. I don't know why he put it.
It doesn't make sense, but none of it makes sense. That's why I'm just putting it out there and saying, look, I mean, but let's have a look. Narrated Abu Huraira. Now, Abu Huraira narrated 80 million hadiths. That guy got around a lot.
Yeah.
That guy got around. I mean, he was everywhere. And Abu Huraira said that the Messenger of Allah said, the people of Yemen have come to you, but they are weaker in heart and softer in understanding. Blessed are the meek, for this has blessed are the meek tones to me, okay? They are weaker in heart and softer in understanding, but the faith is Yemeni and the wisdom is Yemeni. So Iman is Yemeni and the Hikmah
is Yemeni.
And that's a hadith, that's in Tirmidhi.
Tirmidhi, yeah.
It is reported on the authority of Abu Huraira that the Messenger of Allah, may peace be upon him, observed, there came the people of Yemen who are soft of heart, tender in feelings. And the belief, right, the Islamic belief is that of the Yemenites. We have to believe what the Yemenis believe. The wisdom is that of the Yemenites, and the summit of unbelief is towards the east, whoever the heck is in the east. But we have to believe what the Yemenis believe. Narrated Abu Huraira, the Prophet said, the people of Yemen have come to you and they're more soft-hearted and gentle-hearted people. The capacity for understanding religion is Yemenite and the wisdom is Yemenite. It doesn't say it's Arab. Just go to the Yemenis.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, he said to the Arabs, you are the best nation Allah has brought to this world, but in the same time, hear what he's doing.
No, you still don't get it. They appeal to everyone, you know. They tell the Yemenites, you are the best of people. They tell the Arabs, you are the best of people. They tell the Christians, we believe in your God. We acknowledge Jesus as our prophet. They tell the Jews, oh yeah, we totally believe your stuff as well. Everyone they tell even the Greeks, yeah, totally. We believe you guys as well, and we're totally on your side, and we believe in Alexander the Great. Everyone they encounter, they tell, oh yeah, we believe whatever you believe.
Okay,
they tell that to everyone.
Yeah. Go to Quran chapter 3, verse 110. What did Allah say there?
The Quran
3:110.
You know, reading that book is bad for my mental condition. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I'm sorry, brother.
3:110. I mean, look, there could also be that there were different rounds of editing. Different people, as they took control of the religion, were fighting, or they were trying to harmonize all sorts of crazy things. I mean, it could have been like in 1 year, these guys were in charge and liked the Yemenis in the end, and the other guys liked the Arabs more, and then they won out. It's just who knows what the heck
How
happened.
can Allah disagree with Muhammad? It makes no sense.
Let's look at 110. You were the best nation who came forth to the people. You command what is right and forbid from the evil. Yeah. And you
That's
believe in
Allah
Allah.
speaking to the Arabs, not to the Yemeni.
But the faith is Yemenite.
Well, I don't know. See, did Muhammad get paid big sum of camels or gold by the Yemeni people? He changed his mind and he started making up this or this. When this, the problem is we don't even know when this hadith was written. Is it before or after the Arab?
New hadith when it's convenient, and they forgotten when it's inconvenient. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense. I know, but why is it there? Yeah, JC?
So I think what we have just learned is that they don't only kiss hands, they also kiss backsides.
Yes. Right. It is narrated on the authority of Abu Huraira. This guy gets around that the Messenger of Allah said, they've come the people of Yemen, and the belief is that of the Yemenites. Okay, we get the point. So, Sahih Bukhari, there's plenty of these. Yeah?
If you add all what Abu Huraira said about Muhammad, and Muhammad said, it will make Abu Huraira and Muhammad roughly around 300 years old.
Well, that's praise be to Allah. Allah works in mysterious ways.
MashaAllah.
So the moon gods of the South Arabian kingdoms were, according to the traditional view, Shin of the Hadramaut, Wad of Ma'in, Amma of the Qataban, and Al-Makka of Shaba, and Himyar. The same deity, different names, right? So belief is Yemenite. There's more of these. Now, this is odd. I've covered this also. We asked Anas ibn Malik, which garment did Allah's messenger, peace be upon him, love or like to wear? And he said, the mantle of Yemen.
Oh,
now, this is
maybe that was a bribery, the clothes which used to come to him from Yemen. So now he starts speaking nice words about.
You see, besides the beside the al-Bayt, right? Another name for the family of Muhammad is called the al-Kisa. Right now, this is a totally separate topic. I'm doing a different series with Odin on Wednesday on the al-Kisai. You came with us, remember, Osama? You did that. You missed the last one, I believe, but. Yeah, so Al-Kisai was a man who got given a book by an angel, and he became the messenger of the angel, except this happened around the year 95 to 120 AD. Now, I don't know if you've heard a story like that before, that an angel gives a book to a guy who then goes out as the messenger of the supreme deity. Heard a story like that before? Rings a bell? Guy, angel gives a dude a book.
His name is Mr. Maroon.
Right. Now here's the thing. So exactly. So Muhammad gets given a book by an angel. Well, there's a guy called Al-Kisai or Al-Kisai who gets given a book by an angel, right? And his name comes from supposedly the mantle he liked to wear. right? And the family of Muhammad is called the people of the Al-Kisai because there's a mantle that they have inherited, and there's a mantle Muhammad liked to wear. And then one of the qira'at, one of the early qira'ats of the Quran is called Al-Kisai. And the Al-Kisai, we spoke about it. They could do taqiyya and all of these crazy similarities with Islam. We've covered this before. So, you know, and the wisdom is from Yemen. So just all of these weird connections to different religions, different traditions. I've not seen the Prophet touching except the two Yemenite corners, the ones facing Yemen. And it was narrated that, why do I only see you touching these two corners of the Kaaba? And he said, I heard the Messenger of Allah say, touching these corners erases sins. The Yemeni corners of the Kaaba erases your sins. Ibn Taymiyyah argues it is only permissible to touch and kiss the two Yemeni stones, the black stone in the eastern corner of the Kaaba and in the southwest corner.
But
Interesting.
I saw the black stone came from India, not from Yemen.
Well, it faces towards Yemen, and Yemen is
the
holy.
location at the building. I got you. I'm sorry.
The question is, why is that Yemeni corner so important?
It could be Somalia too, because Somalia next to Yemen, just across the water, man.
Okay.
And the Somalis owe them money, I'm sure. Yeah, go on.
And okay, I really like what Emmanuel had said, that basically they appeal to everyone. But if we actually ignore that and we just go with what they have written, they're actually being very clear. They are not saying this faith that is being given to them comes from Jerusalem or from a group like Christians or Jews. He's saying, is Yemen, is there, like, guys, look at Yemen and you will find the origins. So I think they were helping us out.
Actually, I missed that completely. You're right. Emmanuel, you're a genius.
Thank you.
JC, that was well spotted. Yeah, I mean, so are they telling us that they believe came from Yemen? I mean, do we take them at face value? I mean, like, seriously, why is this there? If it goes against and contradicts the rest of the narrative, why didn't they remove it? Did they forget to remove it? Did they think no one would notice? You know, I'll do a couple more slides, but it's just, I have more questions than I have answers, okay? But I'm just saying there's stuff here I can't ignore, you know?
Nope.
Usama, your thoughts? I mean, am I just blowing hot air here, or?
The only problem I have with you is you give us too much information in a short time, and we're going in circles, try to make sense out of nonsense, and God help you to help me to understand what you're trying to teach us. That's all I can say.
Okay, yeah, I mean, maybe the audience can come up with some sort of thing, but I think this adds to our understanding. It adds new insight. I mean, why is it there in the record? You know, why is it there? Why is it not deleted? But let's have a look at symbolism of the moon god Shin, okay? So this is a standard sort of Christian symbol, obviously Catholic, of Mary stepping on Satan's symbol, the moon. So the symbol of Satan is the moon, the crescent moon. That's the symbol of Satan. And she steps on it, which is also symbolic of the snake, right? So Jesus stepping on the head of the snake. So there's a symbolism here, and she's stepping on or showing disrespect to conquering the snake or the moon or Satan. This is old Babylon.
Muslims are going to say, no, she's standing on the moon. I just want to clarify, she's not standing on the moon because she has only 1 foot on the moon, and but like
you know said, what Jesus said, that when people say dumb things, you got to turn the other cheek, and I'm going to turn around and say, now kiss the other side, kiss the other cheek. So now this is the moon god Shin. This is the symbolism of the moon god Shin. You can see the crescent moon here. Right? Then this is the Muslim mosque. Now look at the shaft. This is a Muslim mosque with a symbol of the moon god Shin. It is the same as the pagan symbol at the left. This is a mosque. That's Shin, the symbol of Shin on his little ziggurat or whatever. And this is an Ottoman Turk. Notice he's got his little moon symbol. He's got the face of the moon here, Al-Qamar. And he's standing on the world to conquer the world. He's got his sword here. He's going to stab you, and he's stepping on the cross. But they love Jesus.
Yeah, they do. Too much.
He's
And then the
standing on
last-
the cross. Muslims are gonna say he's standing on the cross.
Yeah. And now, we'll end here today. We're going to end here today. I'll go another few minutes. Right. So we're going to talk about Monday. Monday is the day of the moon, Moon Day. In most languages, Monday, Moon Day, it's because of the moon, right? That comes. So the Messenger of Allah said, the gates of paradise are flung open on Monday and Thursday. Monday is given incredible importance in the heavens. It is only right that we as Muslims, they say here, give it equal importance here on earth. We can fast on Mondays because this is Sunnah. Muhammad or whatever fasted on Mondays. We must increase our prayers, perform charity, or planting a tree, for instance, or simply, why a tree? Why planting a tree? Well, or simply take the time to reflect on our love for Allah and the ways He has blessed us. Okay, so let's have a look here from this website, the 11 virtues of Mondays that Muslims need to know. Right? I'll just briefly go through this. Allah created trees on a Monday. So you should. Right? This is on the authority of, oh my God, Abu Huraira. Who would have guessed it?
But the funny thing is, when you read what Abu Huraira said here, he forgot to mention the creation of the heavens, which are 2 other days. So now we ended not 7 days, but 9 days of creation. That contradicts what Allah said in the Quran in one place 6.
You see, Usama, when back in the day, 7 was much older and bigger than it is now. So 7 was 9.
Listen,
you see, 7 was actually 9. 9 was probably 18 or 19. Yeah. So it was basically much bigger back then. It was a bigger number.
I heard Abu Huraira saying about the exact details of what Allah created every day, and I could not see the creation of the 2 heavens. I could not help but to shake my head. What a stupid man, Abu Huraira.
So it was 7 days, but it was 9 days back then, and it's because it was hotter back then.
Time is getting short,
and the number melted slightly, and then it became a 7. It was the heat that caused it to grow faster.
Yeah, you convinced me. I am convinced now.
Yeah, right. and now it's 18, and in some states it's 21.
Yeah, exactly. And the gates of paradise are flung open on a Monday, the day of the moon. The gates of paradise are flung open, and the Messenger of Allah said, the gates of paradise are flung open on Monday and Thursday.
So that's a good day to die. MashaAllah. I'll make sure my wife will not kill me except on Monday.
Monday is given such incredible importance in the heavens. This is muslimhands.org.uk, by the way, the website. So we have to give Monday importance on earth. Muslims are forgiven on a Monday.
MashaAllah.
Not a Friday, Allah's holy day of prayer. No. Why Monday, the day of the moon? Yeah. Okay, deeds are presented to Allah on a Monday. Allah likes these Mondays because He's the God of the moon. Abu Huraira, deeds are presented on a Monday and Thursday, and I love that my deeds are presented while I'm fasting on a Monday, not a Friday, Monday. Right? So,
but the problem, that guy who's wrote, Brother Lloyd, he's making all these things about Monday, when in the Arabic word we don't say Monday, we say al-Isnain, which is the second day in the Hebrew language. The second day, the Sani day.
But even the second day, historically, it's also the day of the moon. It's still the day of the moon. It's always been like the day of the moon. I know. I checked into that. I looked into that. It's still the day of the moon. In English, it's Monday, but we called it that. Whereas in other cultures and civilizations, it was still the day of the moon.
In
German, was born on a Monday.
The German word, and like Lloyd said, it's like that in almost all languages. But the German word for Monday still literally translates as moon day. That's the name, Montag. Moon day. That's our word for Monday.
Yep. It's just that the Prophet was born on a Monday, not a Friday, Monday. Allah chose Mondays for the blessing of sending us His final messenger. The Prophet singled out Mondays in his, so the Prophet used to mark Mondays by fasting. He raised the black stone to the Kaaba on a Monday. Right? The Prophet was born on a Monday, and he raised the black stone on a Monday, and that's Ahmed. Right, EO. he received revelation on a Monday, not a Friday. Muhammad got his revelation on a Monday. Are you seeing a pattern forming here? Right? The ascension, the Miraj, took place on a Monday.
All right. Now, here's my problem. In Genesis chapter 1, the creation of the sun and the moon would not take place until in the fourth day. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it actually was Wednesday, not Monday.
Yeah, but you must understand. I mean, even in Swedish, Monday, day of the moon, exactly. It goes back. Let's finish off here. I don't understand it so well. I mean, but Monday's the day of the moon god. Abu Qatada Ansari reported Allah's messenger was asked about fasting on a Monday. He said, it's the day I was born and the day revelation was sent down. That's Sahih Muslim and so on. I'm not going to get into the explanation, but the explanation that I found was that Monday, the biblical name, is the second day. It's in Hebrew as well, and it's in the Greek. Deutera Hemera. That's even in Latin, Feria Secunda. But because of the way that through the history, what happened was, even though it's called the second day of the week, like in Poland, you'll have similar second hour, third hour, fourth hour, but it's still 5 o'clock. It's still 3 o'clock. It's just that the different naming scheme, but it's still the day of the moon, right? Mm-hmm. So the black stone, the Miraj was on a Monday, all of this shit. And then last one, I'll finish here today. Al-Abiyad is the Lord of Monday and the Lord of the moon. And Mura al-Abiyad is the jinn king of Monday and of the moon. So the king of the moon is a jinn.
Jinn. Yeah.
But Monday is the day that all of these holy things happen in Islam. And Mura al-Abiyad is the white one, the father of light. Now, hold on. Didn't we just have the white light, the white one? We spoke earlier about the white one, the moon, but then all of this stuff. So the father of the light, the moon light, is the jinn. The Nur, right? Abd al-Nur, okay, the white king, Malik al-Abiyad, is Lord of Monday, the moon, Qamar. It is reported from Atta that Ibn Abbas said a devil called al-Abiyad came to the Prophet in the form of Jibreel and cast these words, the satanic verses, upon him. And the Prophet recited them. And he's said to be the closest to Satan in his court. I'll leave it at that. I have no idea what to make of that, but
I think if you keep following these, you're going to get confused for the rest of your life.
Yeah. JC?
Okay, so I think the obvious would be all of these stories about Muhammad and the Miraj and all of that, those things just didn't happen. So it is much later when they are writing the traditions that they are creating all of these stories. And they are putting everything on the Monday. So Lloyd, I think you are right. They are still having that symbolism. So even when they are inventing stories, they are making it all about the moon. They're doing this on purpose.
Yeah, it's either like subconsciously part of their culture and it's inherent, or they wanted to get back to the original religion of Abraham. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't have an answer for it. What do you think as an audience? I would love to know what you guys think. But I mean, it's just, what do you make of all this? I don't know what to make of it, but there it is.
Nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So there we go, guys. We'll leave it at that. Yeah. Does this change anything, like with some of you, in terms of the Islamic narrative and the polemic or the apologetics that you've heard? I mean, does this add anything or change your perspective?
A little bit, yeah, of course, because the more you know about maybe where Islam came from, the better you are to understand Islam. And it could not be out of this illiterate man by the name Muhammad, if he ever did exist, but it is lots of work, lots of gathering of mixing all this stuff together to come up with this Islam. I mean, we're looking at one thing of hundreds of thousands of things. This is an ending project. It's huge.
Shouldn't this be more biblically aligned? But it goes against the Bible.
Everything. I mean, can you share with me one thing you talked about today fit with the Bible? And I ignore so many of the stuff you teach because for the sake of time. Literally, if I would critique everything you said, go back to the Bible, it's always the opposite. It's always the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. JC, your thoughts?
That, if somebody says like the moon is a symbol or a pagan symbol, would be like, come on, just reading too much into it. But after you showing these things in all of those cultures for such a long time, and all of these connections, they appear in the Quran. At one point, is like, no, yeah, that's where they got it from. It's not just a coincidence. It's not from the Ottomans. That was very well attested. So yeah, it looks like, as much as they say Christianity is pagan, and it's like, well, no, but Islam is very, very pagan. It's another projection thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to kill the whole idea. Yeah, we just got it from the Ottomans. No, you didn't. It was around long before that. I mean, for me, what's interesting is the Makkah and Bakka appearing in Yemeni on their coins, and their religion goes back. So the coins were 2nd, 3rd century, but the religion goes back to 800, 1000 BC. The culture goes back 1200 years before that. So, so with Makkah and Bakka appearing on these coins in Yemen, and the only other place you find them later is the Quran, and it's got nothing to do with moon gods, yeah, I think it's a bit weird. Emmanuel, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'm convinced now. I now believe in Allah's final prophet, in the seal of the prophet, Prophet Mani.
Do you want to say the Shahada? I mean, we have three.
No.
Did Mani have a Shahada?
Emmanuel, you need to wait until our last program. We all gonna took the Shahada together. We don't want to divide it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Did Mani? I mean, Muhammad had a Shahada, but I don't think Mani had a Shahada.
I'm willing to say the Shah-na-na because it's good night, sweetheart. Yeah, it's time to go home because it's that time of the night, guys. Boys and girls, thank you very much. It's been great. I said the Shah-na-na, which obviously reveals my age. Yeah, I grew up with that show, oddly enough. Back when televisions were big black boxes with 4 channels.
Yeah, I remember that because Tom and Jerry never talked. It was just music background.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, guys. So yeah, that's it from me for tonight. I think we'll be back. What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Tuesday. We're going to be back tomorrow. What are we doing? Oh yes, I'm with a guy called Usama Dakdok tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about some of the original sources of the Quran. And this time we're focusing on the Jewish. Apparently, I shouldn't use the word plagiarism. Borrowings, the Jewish borrowings.
No. The Jewish took it from Muhammad, and they lied.
You're right. Adam was a Muslim, so therefore, yeah, and then Jews rewrote that whole story. You're right, because the Muslims have the original text.
Amen. Indeed.
Yeah, and we don't want to be sexist here, so we'll say a women. So, guys.
You know what? By the way, that was said by a stupid congressman, Democrat guy, who was actually a preacher, a liberal, I don't know what he is, in a prayer he gave for the Democrats. He said, a man and a woman.
Those people are just, yeah, well, what can you say? I mean, amen is so be it. So, guys, yeah, thank you very much. Please leave your thoughts in the comments later. Let us know what you think. I mean, what stood out for you? This whole Makkah Bakka thing, to me, that says something. I think there's something here that we can't ignore. I don't always have an answer, but I think we can't ignore all of this mountain of evidence. But Islam is clearly not just from the Bible. It's no, it's not just Abrahamic. It's clearly something else. So, yeah. So, guys, good night. God bless. We'll see you all.